True Devotion to Mary, video number 15. And it'll only be short because the last one was interrupted by the falling of an overhead light, which is now on its side, consequently. So, it's perfect practice, referring to true devotion to Mary. It's perfect practice. But after all, I loudly protest, having read nearly all the books which profess to treat of devotion to Our Lady, and having conversed familiarly with the best and wisest of men of these latter times, I have never known nor heard of any practice of devotion toward her, at an equal to the one which I now wish to unfold, demanding from the soul as it does more sacrifices for God, ridding the soul more of itself and of its self-love, keeping it more faithfully in grace and grace more faithfully in it, uniting it more perfectly and more easily to Jesus Christ, and finally, being more glorious to God, more sanctifying to the soul, and more useful to our neighbor than any other devotion to her. As the essential of this devotion consists in the interior which it ought to form, it will not be equally understood by everybody. I say it again. As the essential of this devotion consists in the interior which it ought to form, it will not be equally understood by everybody. Some will stop at what is exterior in it, and will go no further, and these will be the greatest number. Some in small number will enter into its inward spirit, but they will only mount one step. Who will mount to the second step? Who will go as far as the third? Lastly, who will so advance as to make this devotion his habitual state? He alone to whom the Spirit of Jesus Christ shall have revealed this secret. The faultlessly faithful soul whom he shall conduct there himself, to advance from virtue to virtue, from grace to grace, from light to light, until he arrives at the transformation of himself into Jesus Christ, and to the plenitude of his age on earth and of his glory in heaven. That concludes part 1 of True Devotion to Mary by St. Louis de Montfort. The rest of this volume beginning on part 2 will treat of the nature of the devotion, the motives of the devotion, the wonderful effects of the devotion, and practices of this devotion. And that will take us all the way up to the end, which concludes with prayers, common prayers. And so we'll get through it. I will see you on the next one. This will conclude video number 15. 14 was interrupted by the falling of this light. Okay, see you on the next one.